My name is Shelby Tucker. Tonight my tribute speech is co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, Bill Wilson. Bill Wilson was a normal man just like anybody who suffered from alcoholism. He was a stockbroker who tried many times to try to get sober. He could never do it. At some point, and there was a point in his life where he had lost almost everything. When him and his wife, they were traveling across the country, staying in their car, sleeping in tents, and they eventually ended up at her family's home in New York. He became a stockbroker in New York City. He was still drinking. He had lost many jobs, and in 1935, Bill Wilson got an anonymous knock on his door from an old friend, Ebby Thatcher, who was full of bright light and just beaming with smiles, and Bill Wilson said that he had never seen Ebby look like that. So he offered Ebby to come into his home. They sat down at the kitchen table. Bill Wilson offered Ebby a drink of scotch, and Ebby denied it and said that he had found a new way of life. That was the first time that Bill Wilson had ever had anybody talk to him about sobriety, a different way of living, or anything. Bill didn't take that heed. He didn't listen to that. He continued to drink for, I think it was 2 more years, and then he met a man named Dr. Bob, and the two of them are the people who co-founded Alcoholics Anonymous. And in 1939, Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob are the two who created Alcoholics Anonymous. This is a reprint of the very first edition of the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. In 1939, this book was wrote and published at Works Publishing Company in New York City. The 12 and 12 is also a book that was written by Bill Wilson. They say Bill Wilson, him and Dr. Bob had known of another group that was called the Oxford Group, and Dr. Bob and Bill Wilson had actually been talking to different members of the Oxford Group, and they presented Bill and Dr. Bob with the Oxford Group's steps, which today we call ours the 12 steps. And Bill Wilson didn't really care too much for the first 6 steps that the Oxford Group had, and so he wanted to make them different. So the Wilson House, which is also, it has a foundation called Stepping Stones. That's where I got this information from. It says that Bill Wilson wanted to rewrite the steps, and so he went to a study, and within 30 minutes, Bill Wilson had created what we have today, the 12 steps. And that is what anybody, the millions and millions of people that have found sobriety through Alcoholics Anonymous, those are the 12 steps that we use today. Bill Wilson, there's a funny story that Bill Wilson wanted to make Alcoholics Anonymous this huge, big enterprise worldwide. He wanted to have treatment centers, he wanted to have hospitals, and he wanted to have detox facilities, and that was a great vision and a great plan. So he went to John D. Rockefeller, and this was 1941, and that's in the Journal of Analytical Psychology. He went to John D. Rockefeller and asked to borrow some money so that he could start this. He wanted to start just one treatment center, and that was in Towns Hospital. And what happened was John D. Rockefeller said, "I'll give you $5,000." And that was not enough money to start the treatment center or the detox or anything like that. So Bill Wilson ended up using that $5,000 to actually print the first big book. And so Bill Wilson has a famous quote, and that quote is, "To the world, you may be one person. To one person, you may be the world. Let us always love the best in others and never fear their worst." Thank you.